Our next speaker, I'm excited to have her here with us. Honestly, I'm a member of a whole bunch of different groups across Michigan, just so we can stay aware of what's going on at a local level, at a grassroots level, and be able to share that back with you folks. And one of her videos came up on one of those groups, and I was like, all right, well, what's she got to say? So I listened to her. I was like, that's a great message. That's the fight that we need to have from a grassroots level. And a lot of the things that she's involved in, that she'll speak on tonight, is stuff in regards to the school systems that, I don't think we attack enough here locally to make a difference or to make our voices heard. So everyone give a warm Hillsdale welcome to our next speaker, Stefanie Boone.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, and I wanted to start by saying how, driving 2 hours from Kent County, which is where I live, on the northeast side of Grand Rapids in Ada, and I've been a member of a lot of different groups statewide. It's really cool to come 2 hours away and see that there are groups just like we have in Kent County and in other areas of the state that I've traveled to, who are doing the exact same thing. And that's what it takes, is showing up, standing up, and speaking up. And the more we can do that and spread the truth and spread the word to others and shine sunlight in areas that there are darkness, the more we can hope that things will change for the better. I am coming here tonight without a title. I have worked very hard over the past 5 years to try to get involved in any way possible and have some sort of title, because I thought that having a title politically or, in the professional field, wherever it might be, might make a change, right? And so I've tried many different avenues over the past 5 years, and I might come to you feeling defeated tonight, except I'm not at all. I come to you knowing that I wake up every morning, I put on the armor of God, and I have that fighting spirit every day, because every day is a new day, no matter what the challenges are, no matter which election we lost or whatever. I don't view it as a loss. I view it as a win, because every time we show up and we stand up and we speak up, who's watching us? Our kids and God. That's who's watching. And those are, some big things to think about when we get up every morning. I don't care about my title. I don't care if I win an election. The left loves to laugh and say, haha, you lost this, you tried this, I don't care about that. We're winning. God is winning in the end. We know that. Raise your hand if you're a Christian and you're proud of it. Me too. Raise your hand if you regularly attend school board meetings. That's an issue. That's an issue. And that's why I'm here tonight. I've been married to my husband for 26 years. We're high school sweethearts. We have 6 kids, 5 strong, amazing, helpful boys, 1 beautiful daughter. And we got busy, my husband and I, living our lives. My husband's a dentist in the Grand Rapids area with 2 practices that we clawed tooth and nail to have. He did not get handed a dental practice. He was a first-generation college graduate in his family, and we worked hard for what we have. I'm a school teacher by trade. I have taught in the schools, elementary on up through middle school science, and we were just busy doing our thing when 2020 hit. right? And we all know that we all have our stories about how we were affected by the lockdowns and the unconstitutional mandates. And it changed everyone's world, our perspectives, our priorities, right? We were busy with our kids. All 5 of our boys are state level wrestlers, and our daughter is a collegiate level soccer player. And those mandates meant a lot for our family because my husband and I have always been the type to read the fine print and not just take the large print as gold. And being that he's a dentist and he has 2 private practices, when the mandates came down, we just looked at each other and said, you know, what in the world? We're not doing this. The science in both of us that we knew for our entire lives through education and our professional careers did not make any sense that they were trying to shove down our throats. So we read the fine print. You know, none of the orders ever that came down from above said that you have to do this or we're gonna pin you down and, you know, inflict pain on you. The fine print said, wear a mask if you are medically capable, if you can tolerate. Anything that happened beyond that point was people taking those orders into their own words. So, you know, dentists were told, it's recommended you should shut down your practice, just 2 weeks to flatten that curve. Well, a recommendation is not the same as a requirement. And instead, he stayed open and we served hundreds and hundreds of people. He pulled, I don't know how many teeth during the shutdowns, helped people who called their dentist looking for help, horrible, you know, swollen face, and my dentist wouldn't answer the phone. And we said, come on in, we'll help you. So there's 2 different ways to handle that. And what it does is it makes you stronger. Our kids never wore a mask in school, in public school. People around us at the start of the mandates said, yeah, you know, we're gonna do that too. Our kids aren't gonna wear masks. We're not doing this. Well, we sent our kids with no masks and no one else did it. So they stuck with that. Our son was a senior in 2020, our oldest. He was a 4-time state wrestling champ, had gotten a scholarship to Penn State for wrestling. Got there and they wouldn't put him on the roster because he wasn't wearing a mask. Lost his scholarship. Our daughter, the following year, 2021 grad, had a collegiate scholarship to West Virginia Wesleyan. They accepted a medical mask waiver for her, let her play in 9 games, and then sent her an email saying, we don't believe you. You need to put a mask on or go home. So she came home. She lost her scholarship. So we know about all of that. In the meantime, when we're paying attention and reading the fine print, we were watching what was going on in our schools during the lockdowns, and being the teacher, you know, that I am, I was paying attention to what my kiddos were doing. I had teacher friends that were supposed to be virtually teaching the kids, and they were literally getting pedicures while they were supposed to be, you know, oh, I'm teaching. My kids are all logged in, but I'm getting a pedicure. Teachers that were on the beach in Florida, Whitmer was on the beach in Florida, right? While we were all supposed to be locked down. What I found during that time and through networking with other parents about the concerns in the schools was that it was not just the virus mandates. We started finding that there was money being dumped into the schools in the form of the ESSER rescue dollars, the tax dollars that came to the schools. And immediately started asking questions because the conservative school that we had chosen to send our kids to through school of choice, Lowell area schools, was starting to show signs of CRT, DEI, which is diversity, equity, inclusion, if you're not sure about that. We were seeing BLM and Antifa posters, gay pride posters in meetings in the schools, sexually explicit books in the schools, all the way down to the elementary level. And the more that you ask questions, it turns out the more you're shunned. Maybe you all have experienced that as well. But my experience was I had a group of parents in Forest Hills who were kind of telling me about some of the concerns that they were seeing, and I can remember in the fall of 2020, scratching my head, the teacher in me saying, no, that's not going on in our schools. We're not, we can trust our schools. And then instead of just leaving it at that, which is what most people do, I dug in and I said, oh my gosh, when George Floyd was killed, that really ramped things up. We had riots in downtown Grand Rapids, looting, fires. What touched home for me, we had a couple of students at Forest Hills Northern, which is my alma mater. Their mom came to our parent group and said that her husband was a Grand Rapids police officer at the time, and he was working the riots downtown Grand Rapids, and his police cruiser had been set up in flames by BLM. When the kids went back to school in fall of 2020, the teachers were doing projects for anti-police, pro-BLM, pro-Antifa. They had posters with pictures of those girls' dads burning police cruiser, celebrating that on the walls and halls of the schools. The more you ask, the more they don't want you asking those questions. One of my favorite verses from the Bible that I have quoted over the years is Matthew 18:6. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believes in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and to be drowned in the depth of the sea. That verse got me a cease and desist letter for posting that on social media in conjunction with talking about the concerns I had in Lowell area schools. The principal from the high school sent me his own handwritten cease and desist letter. He said that because I posted that was considered a threat to the safety of the staff of Lowell area schools. And that due to that, I was being told that I could no longer have any contact with my kids' teachers in school without explicit permission each time from the building principal or the superintendent. And he was also directing me to no longer speak about Lowell area schools on any form of social media or publicly at all.
With what authority?
And if I did not follow that order, then I would face legal action or criminal action, trespassing, whatever they would say. I have spoken at hundreds of board meetings. I have videos out there all the time that I post, mainly on Facebook. I'm a professional in my daily life. I work at my husband's practices as the office manager. I think I do a pretty good job of remaining cool, calm, and collect. But the one thing I do differently than most is I show up, and I stand up, and I speak up. And I don't stop doing that until we get to the root of something. And they don't know what to do with me because I'm not going to stop. And I learned early on when I was attending board meetings in the schools that it's important to hold them accountable. And when you read the meeting minutes the month after the meeting, they don't match up with what happened at the meeting that you attended in person, not even close. So I started recording the meetings. It's legal, it's lawful, it's our right. And I would take those recordings and post them publicly. Ooh, they don't like that. They do not like that. Do you know who else doesn't like that? Many people in our Republican Party don't like that either. It turns out people don't like to be held accountable to the things that they say and do. And when you come back to them and you try to, just show them their own words, they don't want to acknowledge that. So I guess the moral of my story through all of this is, it didn't stop with a cease and desist. as I've been exposing, teachers pushing their personal and political agenda in school on our kids, they target our kids, they wear what they want, they bring whatever books they want into the schools, no matter how we try to expose it, it's all just literature, right? So the kids must need to see pornography as part of their education, right? We have closets in our schools. In Lowell area schools, it's called the Arrow Assist Closet. They take donations from the community. The kids are encouraged to come to school, and if for any reason they feel the need to enter the closet, no questions asked, they can choose what they want, and they can come out however they come out. That's just one example of the secrets they hold. I've asked questions about that closet, respectful questions, because as a parent, I have 3 boys who attend currently at the schools. I want to know. So I said, if one of my boys comes to school in jeans and a t-shirt, and he goes into the Arrow Assist closet at school, and he comes out with a skirt and high heels on, would that warrant a call or some kind of parent contact home? The answer was no. And I'm not okay with that. I have been accused of being a book burner, a book banner, and I'm not trying to shield anyone from literature. In my own personal opinion, I believe that children's minds should be protected and that pornography has no place in front of children. But I understand these are public schools, so if there are parents who want their children to be exposed to pornography, Lord help them. What I am fighting for is a system of transparency, so that parents have the full information in front of them. If there is a list of books that have sexually explicit material in them, please let us know what those books are, and then as the parents, we can decide what we want our kids to be exposed to or not. If you go ask a school board member, is there pornography in our schools? What do you think they're going to tell you?
No. Of course not.
They're going to say no. They're going to say that we have books that, may contain mature content, but they don't want to get into the details and the nitty-gritty of it, and there's a reason for that. Attend board meetings. My biggest piece of advice is if you didn't raise your hand in saying that you attend, please just start. You don't have to have kids in the school or grandkids. Anyone can attend. They're public. And pay attention. If you would do me a favor, pay attention. Go to a meeting and take some notes for yourself. When those minutes come out, it might be a week, it might be 2 weeks, it might be a month later, but when the minutes come out, compare those with your notes and just see if it's as detailed and really shows what truly happened at that meeting, and you'd be surprised. And this is what our schools bank on, is that we're not paying attention, that we're gonna bring our kids to practice. I was one of those. We're gonna race our boys to wrestling practice so that they can be a four-time state champion in wrestling. Sweet, it got him nowhere. He's now a pilot down in Florida. So he's doing his thing, happy, right? So changes your priorities for sure when you start to realize what really matters. The video that Josh was talking about, I think, is the one that the Lowell area schools had a meeting at the Lowell High School library. Why they did that is beyond me, because they knew I was gonna show up. But I showed up and I asked a pretty simple question. I had gotten a list of books from the librarian that she had taken upon herself to label as for seniors only, which is great. I guess she's trying to, have some limits, but she labeled 10, I think it was 10 books at the time. There are hundreds of sexually explicit books in the library, and I've been trying to help her to label these, and she doesn't want my help. Instead, she's now suing me because that video went viral and I hurt her feelings. So, you know, maybe they thought that would shut me up. Maybe they thought taking my Facebook page down would shut me up, but I'm not going anywhere and I will keep doing what I'm doing. Another thing to think about is I just attended a Plymouth Canton school board meeting last week. And again, I'm from Kent County, from the other side of the state. It was eye-opening. I typically just attend Forest Hills and Lowell school board meetings because that's where my kids go, that's my alma mater. Plymouth Canton, another public school in the area, they are using the exact same law firms, organizations. They are in lockstep. They are using the same companies to write their board policies, yet there they sit with a sign above their board table that says, you know, we are teaching our kids to be independent thinkers. While they all look at each other and say, wait a minute, which board policy did you change? Oh, okay, we better change that one too. So it's interesting to see, and that's why for me it's very uplifting to be here 2 hours away and see that we've got this going on too. So they can keep doing their thing, but we're not gonna give up either. So if anyone has any questions for me, I guess I left out, I am suing Lowell area schools as well. In exchange for the cease and desist that I received, which was a complete trampling on my First Amendment rights. Most of you have probably heard of the law, MCL 380.10, that gives parents the natural and fundamental right to direct the care and education of our kids in public schools. So that's what I'm fighting for. I'm not fighting to tell other parents what their kids should or shouldn't do. I'm fighting for parents to be able to say, do I want my kid to wear a mask to school? Yes or no? Do I want my kid to have access to sexually explicit material? Yes or no? So that's where we're at. Any questions for me? Yeah.
Just a comment. Thank you for what you're doing.
You are so welcome. I do it for the people that can't stand up or don't have whatever excuse they want to give. That's what I do it for. Because could I pull my kids? I've been shamed for not pulling my kids and just putting them in a private school. Wouldn't that be so easy? But they're gonna come for our kids there too. So we have to keep going. We have to. Because, you know, so many parents are just dropping their kids off at sports and band camp and whatever and just going through the grind and not paying attention, and they wouldn't want what's going on if they actually knew. So, yeah.
How do we follow you on social media?
So my main form of social media is Facebook, even though I can't stand it. But that's where I've become mostly established. I do have an X account and Instagram. However, the day that I was served with the lawsuit from the librarian from Lowell area schools, they took my Facebook page down. I don't know if that's a coincidence or not. I was able to get it back up and running, and now June 1st, the start of Pride Month, my account was taken down again. So I do have a backup account, Stefanie L. Boone. So if you want to find me, there's Stefanie with an F. I hardly have any followers on that, but I still share the same information. It's just really, it's hard. They think that they can tear me down, but
You
that's
got
not
almost
gonna
400 followers. I just saw it just like a minute ago.
400?
Almost.
I had like 5,400. Still not a ton, but yep, that was all. I don't buy my followers. It's all been organic. So yeah.
My grandson's a junior in high school. He goes to Roseville. That's in Macomb County.
Yep.
And last Friday, he was sent home with a letter for my daughter to sign, giving permission for him to see a doctor virtually through school, to be able to be prescribed medicine if he's sick, to be able to give him his vaccinations if needed, or give him a physical if needed for football. And my daughter refused to sign it. So Monday, the coach asked for it, and my grandson says, my mom's not gonna sign it, she refuses to. So all week long, my grandson had to do extra laps because my daughter refused to sign that letter.
end game there because, you know,
Get those kids vaccinated without parents.
Well, there will be,
Well,
we'll force
I
it.
told my daughter, I
comply.
told my daughter, I says, next we'll have them signing away body parts without your permission, without us knowing.
well, they're signing life away also because there are schools who have medical clinics in Michigan, right in the schools. And unfortunately, so many people were swashbuckled by Prop 3 and, you know, it was too extreme and the verbiage, you know, whatever. Well, all of these, many people who are claim to be Christians and pro-life somehow let Prop 3 slip by because they didn't, well, I believe in life, but I don't want to make that decision for someone else. Well, in the process, we know what happened with that, and the schools now do have legal permission to give abortion advice and referral information to students without any parental knowledge. We allowed that to happen. You know, it happened right under us. So, and unfortunately, that happens with good people who are uninformed, misinformed. And that's why I started by asking about, you know, you hear a lot of things, you see a lot of things on social media, and you might think in Hillsdale, we're in a protected, pretty conservative area. This isn't happening in our schools. I'm telling you, if you pay attention, it is, yeah.
Well, it happens, but when it does happen, they just had a big thing at the Hillsdale Library. It's been going on for a long
Yeah.
time, but we managed to get it taken care of.
We have a lot of hurt feelings in Hillsdale.
Yeah.
We
They
don't.
try very hard here, but.
Well, that's how Lowell is, because we're small too, and so-and-so went to school with so-and-so, and we wouldn't wanna hurt someone's feelings.
That's
or-
exactly how it is here.
Yes, yes. So we get a lot of, you know, on the front end, they're gonna agree with everyone, but I'll vote this way on the back end kind of thing. So, yeah, yeah. For some reason, God has protected me from that. I didn't grow up in Lowell. We've been hugely a part of Lowell for the past 20 years, but I think because we didn't grow up in that community, it protected us from, I don't even know, because I don't even care. I don't care about the people I went to school with. If they don't like me for standing up for Christ, then I'm sorry, but, you know, oh well, that's how I feel about that. And sometimes you lose friends along the way, and sometimes you lose family members along the way, but we know that God has a bigger plan, so. Any other questions for me?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
First off, I'm sure you probably know this, when the sign says we teach our children to be independent thinkers, that's independent from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Second thing is a question, so you mentioned the oldest who got screwed out of a scholarship is out piloting. The other one who, the soccer player, what happened to her? How are they doing?
So my daughter, is now gonna be a senior at Northern Michigan University. She's going for physical therapy. So she figured her way out also.
Super,
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, thank you.
And I will also echo the sentiment and thank you for what you're doing. You're not alone.
No, absolutely. I like to share that message too, that, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you guys.
Awesome stuff there, Stefanie. We appreciate you coming down and sharing that message with us, so.